coverings, all sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem, where our temple was and where our temple in Hamashiach shall return. Brother West, can you open us up in prayer, please?
Abba Father Yah, Elohim, Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov. We thank you, Father Yah, for allowing us another day, another chance to come together and gather in your name, Father Yah, and to get into your word, Father Yah. We pray that you allow me and my brother Yadon to speak your word, Father Yah, and to speak in accordance with your word, Father Yah, so that it may edify the body of Mashiach. We ask you, Father Yah, please forgive us our sins, transgressions, and iniquity, Father Yah. And please make our hearts soft and malleable, Father Yah, so that the seed of your word, Father Yah, your word is the seed, Father Yah, so that it may take root, Father Yah, and grow strong, Father Yah, within our hearts. Please make our hearts fertile, Father Yah, so that we can bear fruit in your name, Father Yah. Please uproot any weeds or thorns, Father Yah, that is within our hearts, Father Yah, that's trying to prevent your word from taking root, Father Yah. And the stony places in our heart, Father Yah, please break that apart, Father Yah, so that it can be a heart of flesh, Father Yah, not of stone. Please help us to be merciful and loving to one another, and patient and long-suffering, Father Yah, as you are with us, Father Yah. For we know that you haven't even dealt with us according to our sin, Father Yah, but according to your mercy, Father Yah. And we ask you, Father Yah, please help us to extend that mercy to others, Father Yah, as well. Yeshua HaMashiach's holy mighty name we pray, Father Yah. We ask that your spirit of understanding and wisdom goes out, Father Yah, and that your word touches whom you will it to, Father Yah. Yeshua HaMashiach's holy mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, shalom. My name is Yashra'al. I'm with my brother Wesley Yashra'al. Shalom.
Shalom.
And we are Savior Word of YAH Ministries. And the title of our Bible study today is The Weaponizing of Our Women. The weaponizing of our women. And one thing about our ministry is we don't take a stance of trying to pick on our women or make it a sex battle, the battle of the sexes or anything of that nature. But we do deal with the topics that affect our people. And one of the biggest issues that we're dealing with now as a nation is the weaponizing of our women. Just a culture of turning our women more masculine and using them as a weapon against their own counterparts, their own brothers and sisters. So when you look at what's going on, they're doing it in multiple different ways. My wife, she has a show called My Sister's Keeper. She did an episode on that regarding that new song WAP, which is seems to be like a nice little fad song, but really what it's doing is it's creating a weapon in our household, and that weapon isn't to protect the house; it's to destroy the house. Anytime you take the heart, the most precious thing in our house, the thing that the household is built to protect, and you turn it into something material, as valueless as just a body part or a sexual object, you do a great disservice. And now you take that same mentality and you push that on the children, because the children are the ones that are actually watching this stuff. Adults, it might pass through, but they're not being shaped. But the children are being shaped by this. So it's being used to cause a division in our household, to devalue the woman, to destable the house, because now when you have a house in which the man is the house, it's the house of the man's name, but the woman is the home. She makes the home, and you're taking her out of that role and turning her into something that's just a piece of meat. It's going to destabilize that household. And that's just one way that they're doing it. Another way that they're doing is that with government contracting, the largest sector of money that's available in government contracting is for minority women. So that's another way to destabilize the house. Let's focus on empowering the women who should be in the homes, and let's get all their businesses up and running. But then meanwhile, the black man is out there struggling to get funds to try to get his own businesses. So is that a fault of the black woman? Absolutely not. But these are the subtle tactics that they're using to destabilize the home. When you go into the economy and we start to work, then they take the black woman and they pay more than they pay the black man. They'll do things like that to destabilize. And what they're doing is not necessarily saying, oh, I have a black man and a black woman. But what they'll do is they'll pay the women more than they pay black men. And by default, black women will get paid more. And they'll do that as well to destabilize the household. So these are things that they've been doing for quite some time to destroy the household. So how does this fit biblically? And how do we correct this? What is the proper thing to do? So we want to make sure that we get a good understanding of that, so that we can see these tactics, because it's not us as adults that, we just can't figure out what to do or whatever, but it's our children. We have to make sure our children understand how to handle this. So let's open up first in Jeremiah 31, and we're going to start this at verse 21. Jeremiah chapter 31. And we're going to start this at verse 21.
Set you up waymarks, make you high heaps. Set your heart towards the highway, even the way which you went. Turn again, O virgin of Yashra'al. Turn again to your cities.
Okay, so this is one of those verses that people will use to say, oh, you got to go back the same way you came. But in this instance, it's talking about returning to the ancient ways. Tamshi?
How long will you go about, O you backsliding daughter? For Yahweh has created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man.
All right, so he has created a new thing in the earth where a woman will compass a man. And when you look at that term for compass, it means to surround or to lead or to control. So this is a new thing in the earth which is being created. Since Yashra'al did not want to live appropriately and righteously, then Yah used that and changed it around and allowed his women to handle certain things. And you've seen that with
Elohim of Yashra'al. As yet they shall use this speech in the land of Yehuda and in the cities thereof, when I shall bring again their captivity. Yahweh bless you, O habitation of justice and mountain of holiness. And there shall dwell in Yehuda itself, and in all the cities thereof together, husbandmen, and they that go forth with flocks. For I have satiated the weary soul, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Upon this I awaked, and behold, and my sleep was sweet unto me. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will sow the house of Yashra'al and the house of Yehuda with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, says Yah.
Drop down to verse 31.
Yirmiyah chapter 31 and verse 31. Behold, the days come, says Yah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yashra'al and with the house of Yehuda.
All right, so this is important because now he's going into this new covenant. Now, the word covenant and term covenant has been used a lot by a lot of churches. They'll say, oh, I'm under the new covenant, the new covenant. Well, that means I can just do what I want under Jesus or this, that, and the other. Well, you have to understand, first of all, who the new covenant is with. So read verse 31 again.
Behold, the days come, says Yah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yashra'al and with the house of Yehuda.
All right, so that's who the new covenant is with. The house of Yashra'al and with the house of Yehuda. Go ahead.
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, says Yah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yashra'al after those days, says Yah.
All right, so this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Yashra'al after those days, says Yah. So you have to have those days first. Then after those days, now we'll have the new covenant. And he says, I will make this new covenant. So this is not in effect right now. This is something that is on its way. And this is how you'll know when this covenant is in effect.
I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Yah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
All right, so this is how you know you're in the new covenant, when we no longer have to teach everyone, their neighbor, who Yahweh is. People still calling him Jehovah. People still calling him God, or they still thinking he's some other deity. So we know we're not there yet. We still have to reach people. We still have to uncover the lost sheep. So this isn't taken in effect yet. We're still trying to learn and put these laws in our mind. When it's talking about the law in your heart, it's talking about in your mind. For you to have a mind of righteousness. The opening prayer, you were talking about planting those seeds and his word being that seed. Well, we're that soil. And when that soil is filled with all these things robbing of the nutrients, roots from weeds and old dead trees and rocks and construction dump and all kind of stuff, it pollutes the soil, and now the seed can't grow. So that's the word. The word has to be planted into our hearts, but there had to be a servant to help prepare the heart, prepare and till the soil just like anything, so that that seed of that word could be planted. And this is what the servants of the Most High are doing, but this has not happened yet. It has not been completed.
Verse 35. Thus says Yah, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. In those ordinances depart before me, says Yah. Then the seed of Yashra'al also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
So if those ordinances depart before Yah, then the seed of Yashra'al shall cease to be a nation no more. All right, keep that in mind. Next verse.
Thus says Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Yashra'al for all that they have done, says Yah.
All right, so he's letting you know. Say it once, say it twice, two witnesses. The seed of Yashra'al shall remain forever. So that is Yah's will. And under his new covenant, this seed of Yashra'al, this seed which is the word, will also now be in man's heart, in his mind. He will now operate like he's the seed of Yashra'al. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's go to Psalms 83. So remember, it's Yah's will that the seed of Yashra'al shall remain forever. It shall never be cut off as a nation. And he made that the seed, and he said the nation. So now what they're doing, while we're trying to prepare our soil so that we can receive the word, the seed, there's a conspiracy against us to pollute that soil. And that soil is in the house. The soil is in the house. The people, we the soil, we're the house. So he's trying to pollute that soil by making it not conducive for that righteous seed to be planted, for that holy seed to be planted. So now picture the man's soil and picture the woman's soil. He's making the man's soil where the seed of righteousness cannot be planted. So he can't properly cover his household. And then he's messing with the soil of the woman, polluting that soil where she's physically polluting her seed and she's spiritually polluting her seed by her actions and by the type of men she's choosing and the way she conducts herself in the household. And this is being passed on from generation to generation. So again, Yah's will is that the seed of Yashra'al shall always remain and shall never cut from being a nation. Psalms 83, Tehillim, chapter 83, and let's just read verses 1 through 5.
Psalms Tehillim, chapter 83, and verse 1. Keep not you silence, O Elohim. Hold not your peace, and be not still, O El. For lo, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head.
All right, so this is your enemies. Your enemies make a tumult, and them that hate you lift up the head. So these are the people that hate Yah and that are lifting up their head against Yah. Go ahead.
They have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones.
So there is a conspiracy, what people call us conspiracy theorists, but there's an ancient conspiracy of these people who hate Yah, who are trying to, are the enemies of Yah, that are taking very intelligent and very highly secretive counsel and are consulting with one another against Yah's hidden ones. Go ahead.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yashra'al may be no more in remembrance.
So they said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. Who are they trying to cut off from being a nation? Who are they trying to cut off from being a nation?
Us.
The nation of Yashra'al, us. And they are enemies of Yah, and they are confederate. They are coming together. They are counseling. But we just read it from the prophet Yirmiyah that Yah is saying, if the heavenly ordinances stop, then Yashra'al should not be a nation no more. So the enemy says, no, I don't care what Yah says. I want to do the opposite of what Yah says. So I'm going to attack this seed. I'm going to destroy this seed just because he said this nation will be a nation forever. Despite whatever wickedness they do, they're going to be a nation forever because he's going to take a remnant out of that for grace sake. So this is what the enemy does. He wants to fight against Yah's will. Everything that Yah purported from the beginning that this is how it's going to be, this is what the enemy wants to do. So this is why we keep talking about this conspiracy, these things that they're doing in the household to kill us. At the end of the day, it's all for one purpose: to cut us off from being a nation. And how did he cut us off, get us kicked out of our house in the beginning? In the very beginning, Genesis chapter 3, how did he get us kicked out the house?
Well, the serpent.
What weapon did he use against us?
He went to the woman.
He used the woman.
He beguiled her, tricked her.
He beguiled her. He weaponized that woman. That woman had no idea
about wickedness. All she knew was righteousness. Yah said, don't do this. That's all I know. I don't know anything else. I can do whatever I want. Just don't do this. So all she knew was righteousness, because that's what was given to Adam. So here comes the devil telling her, oh, you don't have to do righteousness. You can do the opposite. Matter of fact, do the opposite and you'll be even more powerful. So she was weaponized. So it's been the same process since the beginning, but the devil is subtle. Remember we just read, he's using crafty counsel. Once we got hip to certain things, he had to find a different way to do that. All right.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre.
All right, so we don't have to continue reading, but it's going down the bloodlines, listing all these people, all these ancient nations that are confederate against Yah. They hate Yah. So since they hate Yah, and we his people, we the mascot. If you hate the New England, you hate Tom Brady, and you hate the New England Patriots when he used to play for the Patriots. And now somebody comes up with a sign of the Patriots, and you hate the Patriots. What you gonna do when they got this sign up? Snatch the sign, boo, spray paint, throw it, rip it, do whatever, spit on it, burn it. You hate it. You hate it. So we the sign. We the ensample. We the ensign. So now they look at us and we are light unto the Gentiles and they hate Yah. Then they want to rip us apart. This is why we got to stand on the side of highways with signs saying Black Lives Matter. Because there is a conspiracy against that. But the average person does not want to believe that they live in an environment where they're trying to be killed. So what they do, they act like everything is all good. And if you try to say anything to let people open your eyes to what's going on, then they get upset with you. But what is your job as a watchman? What is your job as a word witness? It's to say it regardless of whether you're going to get upset or not. Because you had the opportunity to hear what's going on. And now it's up to you to decide how you want to handle that. Let's go to Yashra'al chapter 3. Isaiah chapter 3. They don't want to tell you this stuff in your church. They don't want to tell you this attack that's against you. And the reason they don't want to tell you that is people don't want to hear it, especially the women. They don't want to hear this. They want to feel safe. They want to feel like everything is okay. But I would rather you be safe than feel safe. And I can't guarantee your safety, but what I can do is talk to your husbands and your fathers and your brothers and your teachers and your mores and your elders, and we can share information and make sure that, hey, listen, we watching each other's back. Yashra'al, Isaiah chapter 3.
For behold, the sovereign Yahweh of hosts does take away from Jerusalem and from Yehuda the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread, and the whole stay of water. The mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50 and the honorable man and the counselor and the cunning artificer and the eloquent orator.
All right. So where are these people at? The warriors, the stay, the staff, the bread, the counselor, the wise men. Where is that person right now that says, I am from the nation of Yashra'al, and we're these people, and we're known for being this people? Where are them people at? It's gone. Hosea said many days will go without with a king and a sacrifice and a teraphim and an ephod and all those things. It's gone. We don't have that no more. Y'all didn't say that we would be cut off for a time. He said, cease to be a nation forever. He didn't say we wouldn't be a dead nation at some point, but forever. In other words, we are going to be born again.
You know, when I look at this, the first few verses, what that seems like to me, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like patriarchy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because now you have the proper order and the proper protection in the city and in the household, not only for women, but for brothers as well. How do you protect your brother? Somebody trying to jump on your brother's back, you got his back. Somebody trying to poison him with poisonous doctrine. You saying, whoa, no, Torah say the opposite, brother. You're mistaken. That's how you protect your brother. So that's why you had the wise men and the counselors and the warriors and all these people. They gone. They took all that from us. That's why they don't even want us to gather in a group. Because we gather in a group, sooner or later, there's going to be a leader somewhere that's going to start organizing. Now you're going to have multiple leaders. Because a good leader, helps facilitate leadership and helps cultivate leaders because somebody cultivated him.
I mean, I think it's pretty evident that that's what's missing right now in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? As far as men and brotherhood go, it just don't exist. You know what I'm saying? We're starting to see traces of it with the awakening, but on a large scale, you know what I'm saying? There is no patriarchy. We're destroyed in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't know if you're gonna go into this, but we know that Yahusha said that, you know, how do you get to the women? Well, you destroy the men. You bind the strong man first. Right. You know what I'm saying?
How you get to that house? Bind that strong man. You can't rob the goods of the house without binding the strong man. Absolutely. And the reason why we don't have this brotherhood now, part of the reason now we understand Deuteronomy 28. So we understand those curses. But because of this weaponization of the house, where the woman has been made hard, like in my generation, you would want your mom to whoop you. Like, I'd rather my mom to whoop me than my dad because I can handle my mom. I'm going to give her the show, but you couldn't handle your dad. Your dad, you was terrified of your dad. It's different now. Now you terrified of your mama. You listen to comedians talking about, oh, man, my mama this, my mama used to do, because the father ain't there. Or the father is made into this docile creature and the woman is now the roaring lion of the house. She's now the protector. And she has been made so hard from growing up without a father or growing up without a husband in the household. And now she grows up and she has to be this quasi female masculine creature because that's the only way she could survive. So she's been weaponized. Now she comes in a household where she can be and serve as a role. It's difficult for her because she don't trust and she don't know and all she's experienced is this. Right. So they have weaponized us. And now that woman raises a son without a husband, without a father in the household. Now that son grows up and he can take abuse and hard talk and yelling and screaming from a woman, but he can't take it from a man. So now he tries to play a sport and the coach is yelling at him, screaming or doing whatever. And he quitting. He throwing his pads. He can't deal with it. Then he grows up to be a man and gets a job and he has a real mentor now trying to help him be successful and talking to him masculine. He can't take it because he can only hear it from a female voice. He feels less of a man if a man talks to him. Now he got to fight. Right. So there can't be no brotherhood. Some of the best brotherhood I've ever had is when a man either had to put his hands on me because I was out of order, or a man had to talk to me in a certain kind of way because I was out of order. And I respected it because I knew that, you know, the difference between somebody trying to defecate on you versus somebody who's trying to help you. Because dude, look, what has this person done in my life? Oh, this person has done nothing but try to help. Perfect example, Elder Ben Melech. All this man has done since he's been in my life is help me. Help me to be a better teacher, a better husband, a better priest, a better student, a better follower, a better you know, all these things. Yeah, can he talk kind of rough? Absolutely. But he's never given me an indication that he has hatred or does not want my best interest. But I can be wise enough to sit and think about those things because I was raised with a father. I was raised with a man who handed me my whole behind, but I knew he loved me. So this is stopping the brotherhood.
You know, one of the things when you look at ancient cultures, a lot of them had a rites of passage where, you know, a man would reach a certain age or a boy would reach a certain age where then he might have to be maybe leave the village or something and go through a set of trials or something, right, and a set of tests, and then after that he would officially be a man. You know what I'm saying? And you know, when they did that, he separated from they would take
women.
They would take him away from the women, and he would go out with the rest of the men, and they would do whatever the trials was, and after that, he would be considered a man. We don't have anything like that today. I don't know if we had anything like that in ancient Israel, but
we did.
Okay. Well, I mean, and it makes sense because when you're looking at it here, this stuff doesn't exist. These men don't exist. So, like you say, the brotherhood don't exist. The patriarchy don't exist. So there's really no pathway forward in this society for a man to become an actual man. You know what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
we don't have that structure in place. And a lot of people who are coming into this walk are just learning this and picking up these concepts. You know what I'm saying? Myself included.
Right.
And so it's pretty interesting. And you can tell that's one of the plots from the people who are confederate against us. You know what I'm saying? Satan.
Absolutely. And what you have often is anytime somebody tries to do some kind of mentoring, often in these days, somebody has to put some kind of covenant attachment to it. Like, I can't just help you because you're my brother and you're a man and we're a nation. I have to have some kind of covenant bonding us that if I'm going to help you, you're gonna do this or do that. That's not how it worked with us. It took a village. At the end of the day, your covenant was with YAH, and a covenant with YAH said, this is my brother. I cannot hate my brother in my heart, which means I got to do righteousness unto him. And what we had in our society is the child stayed with the mother until about 12 years of age. When we went to California, we met a brother Ahmad. He was with an assembly out of Arizona. And he told me, hey, the day I met him, he said, my son just, reached his age, and, we're taking him to Joshua Mountain or something like that they went to, and he was blowing a shofar with his son. That was like a rites of passage thing, he's becoming a man. So after the age 12, you stay with the mother that whole time. That's why that foolishness about woman cannot teach this, that. No, she can't go teach a man. She often the first teacher in the household is a mother. So she's teaching the children. So she stayed with that child till he was about 12. And then when he's 12, then he goes with the father. And that's what happened with Yitzhak. Yitzhak stayed with his child, and the mother had a party for them until I think it was Rachel had a party for him when he turned a certain age and moved on.
We're in Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 4. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them.
All right, so this is because we refuse to the strong man to stand up in righteousness. Then this is what Yah would do. He'll say, okay, I'm going to knock you down, and I'm going to take the weaker vessel and put them over you. And in this case, he said, I'm going to let women compass you, which means if somebody compass you, that means they're like a compass. They're circling you. You can't go where you want to go. You can only go where they open for you to go. So this is what has happened. And this is how they're doing this with child support, with alimony, with divorce and court system and bank accounts and all that. This is how they're using it to make the woman compass us. And then now it's talking about children to be their princes, which means unaged people are now running things, because now when you have children, certain things I can't do because of my ex-wife. My ex-wife has the control over the kids according to the court system. So I have to make decisions based upon the children, based upon the control of the mother with the children. And then it says babes will rule over them, and babes is just a mocker. I don't know why they chose the term babes, but it's a mocker. People that mock you and make fun of you and have not for your benefit, they're the ones that are ruling over you. These same people making these rules saying, nah, the kid needs to go with the mother. Really? He's a son. It's over a certain age. Nah, let him stay with his mom. Or yeah, you're going to pay $5,000 a month in child support. What? Yeah. The people who hate us are making those decisions.
Verse 5. And the people shall be oppressed, and every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable.
All right, so this is what we see now. Now the children have no respect. They don't know how to speak. They walk around with their behind showing. How could you? That's like, I remember when we were kids, and if we had our shirt off and we were doing something in an adult case, we had to put our, like, we had to be tighten up. That's respect. That's gone. The children don't respect. They'll fight adults, knock out old people, do all kinds. We could be an all-out gang war, and adults pop up and we tighten up. We just stop bleeding and everything, just stop, because we're not going to do that. The adults knew what we were doing, but it was respect, and we had honor. And in the honorable person, now the fool can come up and talk to a brother that been studying in this word, been doing righteousness all this long, and sit up there on Facebook and blast somebody like he don't know what he talking about. And then it's just popular rules. Got a bunch of people don't know what they're talking about, can jump aboard, and now they blasting an elder that has been doing this, that dedicated their life to this. This is the society that we're in now.
You know, when it comes to also the lack of respect, that's something that usually is imparted to a child by the father, because it's a thing about authority. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not that a child can't learn, respect from women, but usually there's a certain that just the respect for authority you usually learn from your father. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But without that being present in the household, it's difficult for someone to kind of wrap their head around that, because they're not used to experiencing that. You know what I'm saying? They're more used to being nurtured, and like you were talking about earlier, being talked to a certain way, and they can't handle authority. Right. Masculine authority.
Absolutely. That first 12 years, you need that nurturing. You need to build up your self-esteem. Your mother write little notes. You're wonderful. You're so smart. You're so handsome. You're so strong. You're going to do great. You could be anything. That's the first 12 years. Then after that, he got to go deal with, look, everybody not going to talk sweet to you. People not going to respect you. People got real issues and problems in this world. And this is not, and you're going amongst the nations. You ain't going amongst your nation. That's where the father comes in. Hey, nobody going to give you nothing. Nobody going to respect you. You got to earn respect. You got to be out of your emotions. Somebody could be wrong, but you might need that person in order to do something, or you may need to help that person, but they're wrong. So now you deal with emotional men that never had that. I'm talking about men acting like how women act. And I'm talking, listen, when you are with a woman and you talk to a woman and you're getting with her, whatever, you baby this, baby that, baby that, then she call, you don't answer the phone. She calling you, she mad. She texting you all kind of, what you doing to you out here? That's feminine. Now you got men acting like that. A brother call you, you don't answer the phone. He mad now. Now he's sending texts. Now he getting attitudes. You a grown ass man. You acting like a woman? But see, they don't see anything wrong because they don't understand. And then when a man tells them this, then they get offended. So this is the problem that we have to deal with, that is not a woman thing, not a man thing, it's a household thing. And we got to fix it on both sides. And this is why we don't focus on the women. We have to focus on the men, because the men are the heads of the households. The authority is the man. The woman wasn't authority. What was the most infamous and most fearful thing that your mother could tell you? Let's just see if we on the same wavelength. What was the most fearful thing your mom could tell you? Let's see if one of the people of the audience could answer this. What was one of the most fearful things that your mother could tell you? Anybody? Let's give a second to see if somebody can come up with this answer. We're dealing with authority. There you go. I knew my brother Yafi Yehuda was going to pop in there. I'm telling your dad. Exactly. Or wait till your father gets home. Oh, listen. The butt whooping you gave me wasn't enough. Now you got to tell my dad, and he going to damn near break my back and get grounded for like a year. And then get let out on good behavior like a couple days later. You know how them punish me, be grounded for a month and then get out in a week. But That was the fear. I'm going to tell your father. Absolutely. That was the authority. Did that mean you can go, forget you, mom, I don't care? No. She said things under the father's authority, and you better respect that, because if you didn't listen to her, you knew you was going to have to deal with the father, your father. So now you removed it out the way, and now it's just the mother, and he looking, by the time he get a certain age, he's like, man, mom, you like 5'1", I'm 5'6", and I'm 12. So just physically and mentally, it's different. But now you're taking a man who's big and he's got this little woman lording over him, and he's feeling like my size and strength don't mean nothing because mentally a woman is lording over me. Brother Abinoam, you probably need to check the volume on your computer, because we can hear the volume pretty good on the cell phone. So that means it's coming in clear. It could be Facebook or whatever. But let us know if you continue to get that issue. Tamshi?
We're in Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 6. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, you have clothing, be you our ruler, and let this ruin be under your hands.
So it gets so vain that, hey, listen, you got some clothes, you got some nice clothes, you be the ruler. Just as vanity as that. There's no more wise men, there's no more soldiers, no warriors, none. Just anybody with some clothes. Just go so that we can blame everything on this guy. Because that's why we want kings. We want kings so we can blame everything on him when it goes wrong, or we can have him handle everything when we need something.
It's funny you say that, because it's I mean, that's pretty much the situation even in this country. When you're looking at Trump, it's like people just love to complain, and it's like, what are things really, like, why are you giving him that much power? I mean, of course he has power, but it's like, a lot of people are giving him more credit than he deserves, I think, just because he's the president, you know what I'm saying? And it's like you said, they're not taking accountability for the things they could be doing in their own lives.
Right. Look at Trump did the executive order. You know, like I said, I ain't no Trump supporter, but man, if he do something that works, cool. So he did the whole thing and extended unemployment and stopped the student loans, thus that got millions of dollars in student loans. He did all these things, right? But then now you have California saying, oh, we ain't got no money to pay the little $100 out of the $400 extra that the payment that's going to go out. So you going to blame Trump for that? Talk to your local representatives in California. That's the problem. He trying to give you the money. He's putting up 3, saying, look, just put up 1. They're like, nah. And to talk about the further destabilization, look at this latest move now with the vice president selection for Biden.
Kamala Harris?
Yeah. Pick this woman, Kamala Harris, or Kamala, whatever her name is, which is all praise y'all for a sister. Don't get me wrong. But you don't see the move? We don't see the play here? Black lives matter. Not black men lives matter, because them the ones getting killed. No, black lives matter, and it's a front for gay lives matter, right? Destabilize the households, introduce homosexuality, take away the focus from the black man that's being destroyed and being a endangered species, right? Then now you take, instead of black man, which you would never vote, you only vote Obama in, which is bloodline related, which is Hamite, which is Kenya, likely a Hamite, not an Israelite, likely. And you put him in the office. You won't put a black man in the office, but you'll take a black woman in the office and put her in a position where you got Joe Biden. He about 90 years old. If something happened to him, that's going to be the next president, a black woman. And what does it say? When a servant rules, then what? The people what? People mourn.
When a wicked servant?
No, when a servant reigns, the people mourn. So anytime you take somebody who's used to being a servant, and a woman is a helpmeet to her husband, so she's built to serve, just like the man is a priest to YAH. He's built to serve YAH. and now you put them to rule, it causes an issue.
Okay.
You found it?
It's in Proverbs, I think it says, when a servant reigns and a fool when he is filled with, well, no, that's just the first part of it.
Okay.
I had to go look into Proverbs 30.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's exactly right.
It's the play. All this is the play. How coincidental. So they, again, you got clothes. You go be a king. So they can blame everything. They're going to blame everything on the black woman. And that's going to cause even more dissension between the black man and the black women.
Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 7. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined and Yehudah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against Yah, to provoke the eyes of his glory.
All right, so why are we ruined as a people? Because of our tongue and our doings. Our mouth, what we say, and our actions.
The show of their countenance does witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say you to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him.
All right. Woe unto the wicked. All right. Verse 12.
As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them.
Children are their oppressors. We're being oppressed by children. People getting ridiculous amount of child support. Ridiculous. People losing their license. You can't even drive. You can't even go to work because you missed a child support payment. Where is child support in this Bible? When Abraham sent Ishmael off, he sent her with some stuff. She went on her way. Abraham wasn't showing up there every Wednesday bringing some more provisions. Now, men, take care of your children by no means. But when you start taking a person and deciding based on a equation and this, that, or how much money he got to come and automatically take that out of his check, not considering he has his own bills, his own payments, his own things that he has to take, or possibly even other kids to take care of. That's a tool. That's a tool to weaponize the woman, causing the woman against the man. Now, the woman, she needs help. If she gets desperate or she's upset, she gonna do what she gotta do. You're putting her in a position that she shouldn't be in.
O my people, they which lead you cause you to err and destroy the way of your paths.
The people that lead you cause you to err and destroy the ancient ways to replace it with these matriarchal Greek ways. Voting thing. Well, we gonna vote about it. Nah, there ain't no voting. In the end of the day, Yah said the man is the head of the household and the woman is covered by the man. It didn't, we're gonna vote who gonna be the head of the household today. Nah, it don't work that way. Now, do you take in consideration what your wife says? Absolutely. If you're not a fool, yes, listen to your wife. She has the spirit as well if she a believer and she can help you. But it's not a vote. The man is the final decision maker. And women, you want a man that understands that can be a good final decision maker. That's going to take your input in consideration, but still make the right non-emotional decision according to righteousness and the wisdom of the word.
Verse 13, Yahweh stands up to plead and stands to judge the people. Yah will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for you have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean you that you beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, says the sovereign Yahweh of hosts. Moreover, Yahweh says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet.
All right, so as we read this is usually used when somebody wants to attack a woman or to cause some kind of division. But also understand that when they're talking about the daughters of Yehuda, keep in mind, we men are also considered the daughters of Yehuda. He said, Ephraim transgress, and your treacherous sister Yehuda also. He wasn't just talking about the women. He's talking about us as a nation. We are married unto him. We are his wife. By no means, if we married to Yah, do we think that we the man or the husband in this. So don't take it always as a female-male thing, because it's also pertaining to men. But ultimately, when you are dealing with the women, and it's dealing with this in this regard, whose fault is this? That our women walking around here like this? Is it the women's fault? Or is it the man's fault? Whose fault is it that our women are walking with stretched forth necks and haughty and wanton eyes, mincing as they go, making a tinkling with their feet? Whose fault is that?
It's the man's.
It's the man's fault, because that woman didn't just pop up in the world and start walking around. She had to be born. She had to be raised. Who raised her? Where are the men? Now, is it all the man's fault? Absolutely not. He had some help. He had crafty counsel, a confederacy against him by those that hate Yah. So it's not all his fault. But Yah not coming to the women and say, women, why are you acting like this? He said, Adam, did you eat of the tree? He didn't come out and say, Eve, where you at? What's going on? What you did?
All right. You know, that's interesting. Even when you look at the, I guess you said you and Sister Tafar talked about that the WAP video, which is like Cardi B or whoever. But a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people talking about that video and, you know, saying, you know, this and that about women, but it's like they're only doing this, one, because we know it's an agenda behind it, but also because the guys are eating this stuff up. There are men out there who are buying into this stuff, who are, you know what I'm saying, they lose their minds when they see some flesh, you know what I'm saying, and it's, they're allowing this, you know what I'm saying, but we were brought into this state as well, you know what I'm saying, as far as, you know what I'm saying, being very lustful and fleshly, and we've been trained to, you know what I'm saying, we've been trained basically to be like this, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the same time, the responsibility is on us. Like, we can't take everything out on the woman, because it's men who's eating this type of stuff up, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And the men need to be checked as well, because, you know, I remember one video, it was at a beach, and this young girl, she had probably 15 or 16 years old, dancing very provocatively with this man on the beach, grown man. And the father, I had to be the father, because he was an older man, came by, and he slapped fire out of her. And she was mad embarrassed. And you know, people talk, oh, that's abuse. Nah. We gonna read what Sirach say about that. You gotta deal with these daughters when they're young and let them know. No. And obviously, there was other things going on. I'm pretty sure he just walked. You know, we were still on campus because it's the summer. And we're looking at the girls coming in and their families. And there was this one girl that came in. She was all right. But she had another girl with her, was her sister. And this girl was thick. I mean, she was stacked right. So we like, oh my God. Then the girl said, no, that's my sister. She's 13. And I remember the mentality. I was like, damn, she's 13. But she could get it. And I wasn't going to deal with no 13-year-old. But the thought went through my mind, which should have never even came there. But once I had daughters, oh, you best believe that thought don't even come close to my mind. Because now I see, wait a minute, that's somebody's daughter. Because I'm looking at my daughters. So it took me to have daughters to realize that's how I should have been looking at women. Whether they were of age or underage or overage or whatever the case may be, that's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's wife. That's somebody's sister. Have a view of family. But that was taken from us, and now it's being over-sexualized, and our women are being pushed in the forefront to be these thoughts. And that's what they're doing. And it's only okay because men are allowing it. We're, like you said, we're lusting after it, and we not slapping the crap out of our daughters for doing crap like that. So we allowing it.
You know, another thing that I think has really been a huge detriment and has affected, you know what I'm saying, a lot of just men is just pornography, and I say that because pornography, like men are, there's a natural attraction. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you see a nice looking woman, that's natural. Y'all designed it that way.
Right.
But it's become so overstressed and things have become so over sexualized and to pornography and these videos and stuff like that. And they push this because it moves from just normal attraction now to the point where you're idolizing flesh. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's you know what I'm saying? It really messes up our perception of women to the point where, like you said, it's like where you're seeing flesh and you're not even thinking, wait, that's somebody's daughter. That's you know what I'm saying? That's a 13. You know what I'm saying? You're not even processing things like that. You know what I'm saying? Or properly. You know, and you're falling. I think where does it say that fall not don't be fooled by the beauty of a woman, something to that extent in scripture. But now, you know, Satan and his system, and I believe it is actually the fake Jews that are that run the pornography industry.
Absolutely.
They've really formulated our minds and young men's minds to the point where we're idolizing this stuff, and that's why, you know, stuff like WAP is popular and stuff, because we think it's normal just to basically just to be that type of way, to be that overly animalistic. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And they the fake Jews do run that industry, and they ran that industry in Germany as well. With that same video that I sent to you with the Ashkenazi rabbi, whatever, they came out and exposed it and said, listen, the Jews in Europe were the ones that owned the pornography and homosexual clubs and all that type of stuff. And Hitler shut that thing down. He said, man, this is a plague, and got rid of that. And he admitted, he said he did a good thing by shutting those things down. Now, here is the same thing. And now you're being overly sexualized. It's just like when King David came out and he saw Bathsheba naked. It's too late. It's a done deal. Now in his mind, he's got all these thoughts and all these things in his mind that he has to fight with. That's just like the knowledge of good and evil. If you didn't have a knowledge of doing all these nasty things with all these nasty women, you wouldn't even have to fight that once you see him. You would see her just be another woman, and you would still be like, oh, she's beautiful. But now you're thinking about all those little things you've seen and fantasized in your mind and got to fight against that when it shouldn't have been there to get go. And that's why we have laws of our women to cover themselves up and our men to cover themselves up and to prevent homosexuality and all that, where they had to wear underwear. So when they go up steps or whatever, they're not looking at somebody's privates and all, you know, have to even have an image of something like that in their head.
Isaiah chapter 3,
17.
and verse 17. Therefore, Yah will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts.
All right, so now we can see clearly with our women with problems, scalp problems, you know, alopecia and little cancer from these weaves and perms and chemicals and all that. You have that, but then you also have the head of the daughters of Zion. Who's the head of the daughters of Zion?
It's the men, right?
The men. So he's gonna smite with a scab the crown of the head of daughters, which means he's gonna cut us. He's gonna cut their heads. He's gonna knock them down. And he said he's gonna discover their secret parts, discovering all women, because there's no strong man to protect the house no more. He in jail, or he gay, or he strung out on drugs, or whatever the case may be. All because the men didn't want to do their job. They wanted to go after the prostitutes and everything like that. And they want to look at this woman and marry a woman that's a wop, right? But then now they daughter coming from this same bloodline, the same seed. Now they like, oh, wait a minute. They're upset. It's too late now.
In that day, Yahweh will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cauls and their round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be a stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty.
So this is what has happened to our women now, where now our women can have smells and have baldness issues, and we've been stripped all the way down where we used to have real jewelry and gold, and we were covered. Now we got all this fake stuff and all these weird types of styles that had nothing to do with us has been replaced with royalty. When we had royalty, that was replaced.
Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in the war.
All right, so I will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in the war.
And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground.
So you have that noise of that mother that you can just hear it in your head, crying when she find out her husband was murdered, or crying when her only son was murdered by the police, or murdered in the street in gang violence, or whatever the case may be. That's what you have. That's what our neighborhoods sound like. Our neighborhoods don't sound like joy and celebration and popping champagne like a music video. That's not our neighborhoods. That's TV. That's what they selling you. Our neighborhoods don't sound like. Our neighborhoods sound like ambulances. All right, let's go to Judges chapter 4. So, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. Yah did not have that design. He allowed this to happen as punishment. And by necessity, because our women are spiritual as well. So when we not standing up, our women would step up and do the right thing. But her authority was the word. That was her authority. She had no other authority above that to tell you what to do or tell a man what to do. That wasn't given unto her. That disrupts the natural order of things. But when a man is out of order and he's going against the word of Yah, that woman can speak as an oracle of Elohim and speak the word. And that word is cut in that man.
Judges chapter 4 and verse 1.
And this story here is about the prophetess Deborah. And this is the first thing that sisters like to run to when they're being approached about, having proper order and, not trying to be, usurp the authority of the man, or trying to take on a priest, teaching congregational leader role, which is against our culture. They go here and they pull this scripture. But what we have to understand here is what's going on. So we're going to break this down.
And the children of Yashra'al again did evil in the sight of Yah when Ehud was dead.
All right, so when it talks about the children of Yashra'al doing evil in the sight of Yah, it's talking about men. It ain't talking about women. Because the men are the coverings in the household. The women ain't doing what they supposed to do. Yah coming to deal with the men. And a man is the covering. So when they talk about the children of Yashra'al ain't doing what they supposed to do, the men were not doing what they were supposed to do. Go ahead.
And Yahweh sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, and the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Yashra'al cried unto Yahweh, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Yashra'al. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Yashra'al at that time.
All right, so Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth. So when you look at that word for prophetess, likely her husband was a prophet. And she, being the wife of a prophetess, would have been one flesh with him, and she would have picked up some abilities by being one flesh with a prophet. You're going to be around the spirit. And furthermore, y'all going to prepare a special woman for a prophet. And then notice it's saying Deborah, the wife of Lapidoth. It's still maintaining the order. She is somebody that has some good works she's about to do, but she's still the wife of Lapidoth. They're still showing an order here. Go ahead.
And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel and in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Yashra'al came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak the son of Abinoam out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Has not Yahweh Elohim of Yashra'al commanded, saying, Go and draw towards Mount Tabor, and take with you 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun?
All right. So she is speaking to a leader and saying, hey, didn't I y'all tell you to go take this city? She has that authority. She not telling them, listen, don't go today, go tomorrow, because, I think you should do this. Do what I tell you to do. She said, didn't I y'all tell you to do? That's what the woman's supposed to do. She's your rib. She's your support. She's supposed to be telling you, priest, didn't I y'all tell you we not supposed to do this? Didn't I y'all tell you we supposed to do this? Didn't I y'all say that you do this when you get here? That's what she's supposed to do.
And I will draw unto you to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into your hand. And Barak said unto her, If you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, then I will not go.
All right, so here's Barak idolizing this woman. Obviously, Lapidoth had some kind of prestige where they felt like if he was with us, we good. So now he gone. Instead of saying, well, Lapidoth was merely just saying what thus said Yah, let me go to Yah. They say, nah, look at this woman. If you go, we'll go. Because you're the wife of this great prophet. So surely Yah gonna be with us if you go. No, Yah gonna be with you if Yah told you to go. And he said he was gonna be with you. So look at the state of our men at this point. Our men are idolizing and not being men unless they get in the support of the women. That's not patriarchy. That's matriarchy. And Yah didn't like it. So Yah said, oh, y'all want to be matriarchal? All right, I'm gonna show you how to handle that.
Judges chapter 4 and verse 9. And she said, I will surely go with you, notwithstanding the journey that you take shall not be for your honor, for Yahweh shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh.
All right, so you see how Yah works? Yah said by Deborah that Yah is going to deliver Sisera by the hand of a woman. So let's see how that works.
And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moshe, had severed himself from the Kenites and pitched his tent unto the plain of Zaanaim, which is by Kadesh. And they showed Sisera that Barak the son of Abinoam was gone up to the Mount Tabor. And Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river of Kishon. And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this is the day in which Yahweh has delivered Sisera into your hand. Is not Yahweh going out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him.
All right, so again, she's doing what she's supposed to do to encourage the men of Yah, her brother, to stand up for righteousness, to do what Yah said. She's not ruling him or he's only in a position of inferiority because he's disobeying Yah. That's it. Not because she's in authority over him, but she was a wise woman. And she had knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and obviously had a righteous husband. So people would go to her to listen because she's a woman of wisdom. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Do you not talk to your mom for wisdom, or talk to your aunts, or talk to your sisters, or any wise woman? Is that something wrong with having a wise woman? Absolutely not. But that woman is not your ruler.
And Yahweh discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his host with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the host unto Harosheth of the Gentiles, and all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Yael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and the house of Heber the Kenite.
All right, so if you remember the Kenites were those people that were from Canaan that stayed real close by, and they acted like they took a long journey to come over here, and so that Joshua wouldn't kill them off. So Joshua made a covenant with them that they're going to be, in league together, but then found out later, oh, they live right next to us. So these people were people that were very crafty.
Verse 18. And Yael went out to meet Sisera and said unto him, Turn in, my master, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray you, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be when any man does come inquire of you, and say, Is there any man here? You shall say, No. Then Yael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it to the ground. For he was fast asleep and weary, so he died.
All right, so he died. So Jael killed Sisera. So we were delivered by the hand of a woman, but Yah made sure not to use Deborah to handle that. He used a Gentile woman so that as not to make this woman this great warrior, hero, or whatever the case. Because if that was the case, we was already idolizing Deborah. They were already idolizing her. I'm only going to do Yah's will if you go with me. So if she would have delivered this king, we'd have turned full out matriarchy and have been worshiping this woman. So Yah was very careful what he did, but he showed, listen, if y'all don't do what you're supposed to do, I will use the woman to do the job. Let's go to 1 Kepha chapter 3. We're going to read 1 through 7. 1 Peter chapter 3. And, I understand that this is the whole concept of patriarchy is very difficult for the American woman because everything in her life is showing her the opposite of patriarchy, the way the system is set up. And unless has a sanctuary at home where she had a mother and a father that's raising her properly, or she's in a marriage with a patriarchal husband who's not toxic masculinity or whatever, where he just overdoing it, she's not going to understand that. And now when we try to implement certain ancient ways of doing things, it's going to be a resistance. But it's also with the man. When the man is trying to implement things, he doesn't know how to properly do it. That's why we have to return back to the ancient ways of doing things, and it will naturally fall in its place.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1. Likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
All right, so likewise, you wives. So he's talking to married women. Be in subjection to your own husband. So he didn't say be subject to every man. Every man got authority over you. That's not what that is. No, every man do not have authority over you. Your father has authority over you, and your husband has authority over you. But it says here, if any obey not the word. So the priest is telling the man, don't do this, according to the word. Thus says Yah. And if that man don't want to obey that, he should be won over by the conversation of the wives. Now, they love to use that word conversation when it's not talking about your speech. The word conversation here in Greek is anastrophe, which is G391, which literally means behavior. The way she's carrying herself, the way she's behaving, her subjection to her husband. This is going to win over men that are not obeying the word. When you see a woman and she's in the street and she's out in public and she has her head covered and she's wearing her royal garbs and she has on fringes and she's carrying herself, not looking all in every man's face and being respectful and being in order, men approach differently. Even if a man wants to talk to her, he not, hey, Sade, hey, sexy. Hey, like, hey, how you doing, queen, empress? Good day, good afternoon. They change the way they act because naturally the presence of a virtuous woman make a man look at himself because he's thinking like, man, how do I have a woman like that? And why I don't have a woman like that? And how do I keep a woman like that if I have a woman like that?
Question. Does the first verse also apply to within the realm of just a marriage? As far as like, say if I guess if the husband wouldn't be obeying the word, I'm guessing he's not in the spirit, or maybe he just doesn't know the word. But for either case, say if the woman is
in righteousness,
is that saying that she will win him over that way?
Absolutely. When the woman is in righteousness, y'all gonna plead her cause. Every time he do something stupid, y'all gonna deal with him. And then now he looking at his wife and he's starting to see, man, she more wise than me. She's more righteous than me. And if he's a brother who has any kind of spirit, he gonna change the way he acts. If not, his pride gonna eat him up. And it'd be like that situation with Abigail and Nabal, where his pride couldn't help that his woman was more righteous than him. And that's why it says, the believing wife cannot leave the unbelieving husband if it's well for him to dwell with her, if he's pleased to dwell with her, because he could be won over by her conversation. The children are sanctified by the believing parent. And if it's well to dwell with him, you're not going to want to dwell with somebody who's walking in righteousness. It's going to repel you if you're wicked. You're going to be like, I don't want to do, I just cannot stand to see this. So if he wants to dwell with somebody who's righteous or walking in virtuousness, then likely he's just not there yet. He's just going to take some time. He just needs a little bit more support.
Would you say that the case, I think it was Nabal and Abigail, was a case like that, as far as the husband being off and then y'all basically dealing with him in the long run?
Absolutely. Yeah, I dealt with that husband. But, it says, which we're going to read, I think we're reading that next, Sirach. Okay. It says that, the wicked wife is given unto a wicked husband. So you ask yourself, Nabal was wicked. So was Abigail wicked at some point? Maybe she repented and maybe she started to change. So there's a lot of things to that story. But either way, she's deciding to walk in righteousness or virtuousness, or Nabal decided to, become a fool and didn't want to repent. Y'all took care of that thing. Gave her a king.
First Peter chapter 3 and verse 2. While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel.
So the man should be persuaded to righteousness by her chaste, which is her pure and righteous conversation, which is behavior. Her pure and virtuous righteous behavior coupled with her fear of Yah, her reverence for Yah, her reverence for her husband. And that's why I said, don't let the woman be so dressed up that's all that you're going to get from her. You're not going to learn from her behavior. You're not going to learn from her fear of Yah. You're just going to listen to her and want to do what she says because she's beautiful, because she's dressed in this, because you're lusting after her. And that's why he's saying, don't let your world be your apparel. Let your world be the inward, the hidden man, the righteous behavior. Go ahead.
But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of Elohim of great price. For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in Elohim, adorned themselves.
So that's the difference. The women of the old time trusted Yah. So since they trusted Yah, they did righteousness. The commandment said, I can't do this. I can't just leave my husband. I got to listen to him. I got to do that. As long as he's not trying to get me to do something that's transgressing the law, I got to trust Yah that this man is doing some stupid stuff. But Yah going to handle this. That's how the ancient women did. Go ahead.
Adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose daughters you are, as long as you do well and are not afraid with any amazement.
And they have a problem with that, calling your husband Lord or master. Well, the Lord or master is just Mr. He is the Lord of something, which means he is the master of something. He's the master of the house. Is he not the master of the house? So why you have a problem calling him master if he's the master of the house? You can call him Mr. because everybody used that term, Mr. But you master that's too much. Look at the mentality that we have. And furthermore, look at the man that got to force his woman to call him Lord or master. Look at that mentality. Why you got to have that title in order to have that, to feel like you have that control of that household? It's not necessary. So you got to look at both sides, where both the man and the woman are lacking a proper understanding sometimes.
Likewise, you husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife.
All right. So giving honor unto your wife. You dishonor your wife when you dwell with her according to feeling. When you dwell with her according to what's going to make it easier on you. When you dwell with her according to what's going to make her give you that whop. That's how you dishonor your wife. You honor her when you dwell with her according to knowledge. Baby, I know you upset, but the word and YAH says this, and that's the right thing to do. And I know they don't agree with, you really want to go do this thing, but I love you. I honor you. So I'm going to dwell with you according to the knowledge, to the best of my understanding.
Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
So men, your prayers are hindered if you are not giving honor unto your wife by dwelling with her according to knowledge. Then your prayers are hindered. You can't even ask YAH for help. He's not listening to you. That's why we need brothers. That's why we got to come together. You can put yourself in such a state that YAH not hearing your prayers. You better hope you're hearing your wife's prayers. But is your wife going to pray for you when you acting in that state? Or is she going to pray against you? All right, let's stop right there. Let's go to Sirach chapter 26. We're going to go into the Apocrypha. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 26. Sirach chapter 26, and let's start this at verse 1.
Blessed is the man that has a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be doubled. A virtuous woman rejoices her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace.
Because peace is what lets you live long. When you got a wife that's not virtuous, man, that thing could be, every time you go somewhere, that's your wife. That is a shame unto you. Think about these brothers, they looking on TV, they seeing they woman butt ass naked. Talking about whop, I ain't gonna cook, I ain't gonna clean. And these brothers is rich. And you looking at that's your wife. And you rich. You rich, you don't want everybody looking at your wife up there butt ass naked. That alone will reduce your lifespan, dealing with that kind of embarrassment.
A good wife is a good portion, which shall be given in the portion of them that fear YAH. Whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart toward Yahweh, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance.
All right, so whether he be rich or poor, if he have a good heart towards YAH, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance. So that is literally letting you know that if you are dealing with a severe depression, a severe anxiety all the time, you need to check your heart. Because it says here, if a man's heart is good towards Yahweh, at all time, he's going to rejoice with a cheerful countenance. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be attacked by these spirits. That just means that where your mentality needs to be cheerful, even when you're dealing with depression, even when you're dealing with problems, because you are giving honor to the Most High.
There be three things that my heart fears, and for the fourth I was sore afraid: the slander of a city, The gathering together of an unruly multitude and a false accusation, all these are worse than death. But a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicates with all.
Mm.
An evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro. He that has hold of her is as though he has held a scorpion.
All right, now, again, just like we talked about Abigail and Nabal, people grow and change. You see couples, you be like, how were you with this wicked person? And they say, oh, he changed. He wasn't like that in the beginning. So husbands, our women are delicate creatures. You could have a good woman, a loyal woman, and you mistreat her and you don't deal with her according to knowledge and honor and don't get the favor of the Most High. You can help turn your woman into evil. You cheating on her, lying to her, disrespecting her, not taking care of her, and you're producing bad soil. And all those other wicked nutrients could rob the nutrients of the righteous root that's growing. The wild olive tree can take over.
A drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causes great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. If your daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty.
So if your daughter be shameless, remember the daughters of Zion walking around mincing with a stretched out neck and wanton eyes. Well, that's shamelessness. If you see your daughter walking like that, you better snatch her. What's wrong with you? How dare you walking around? You know who you are? You the daughter of a king. You the children of the Most High. What you walking around here like that for? You better fix that. But everybody, the men ain't around, so the women raising, if the mama dressing like that, how you think the daughter gonna dress like that? And now you in these households where the government took the fathers out the households and gave all the power to the mom, and now you fighting an uphill battle trying to get your daughters not to dress a certain way. And they the ones taking the picture of their mom dressing like a slut. These are the problems. That's why I say the children are your oppressors. And women are ruling over you. There's only one way out of that, is to return to the ancient path and get the protection of the Most High. Because it's stacked up against us, men and women. We set up to lose.
Verse 11. Watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against you. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he has found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow. The grace of a wife delights her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones.
The grace of a wife, because when you have a virtuous woman and you have a good wife, you get favor. You be making all kind of mistakes, fall all kind of short, and because you got a daughter of the Most High, the Father's showing you favor. If you got my daughter, I got 4 of them. You got my daughter, and you taking care of her, whatever, for whatever reason, whether you're a teacher or anybody just dealing with my daughter, you got grace. You got grace and mercy, because you make a mistake or do something, as long as it's not against her. If you do it against me, I might have some more mercy. You know what? This is my daughter's coach. This is my daughter's friend. This is my daughter's friend's father. He said something to me I ain't like, whatever. But, because of my daughter, I'm going to give you grace. And I'm a man. I'm wicked. I'm a man. Men are wicked. So how much more grace and mercy you think the Most High is giving you when you have daughters, or you have a wife that's of the daughters of Yehuda, or the daughters of Yashra'al? You getting grace and mercy, especially if you dealing with her in righteousness.
A silent and loving woman is a gift of YAH, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
A silent and loving woman. So a loving woman is not going to be silent when it's time for her to speak. But she's going to be considered silent because she ain't all in the man's ear all day long. Now again, once your woman stop talking to you, that's a problem. So it's not saying that the woman can't speak, but it's saying the characteristics of a woman. A silent woman knows when to be quiet and knows when to speak.
A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued. As the sun when it arises in the high heaven, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house.
As the sun arises in high heaven, which means in noon, everybody gonna see it. It's gonna light everything up. So is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house. How much favor and beauty and light is going to be shining from this woman that knows how to order her house. That's her authority, to help order her house. Remember, the man is the house, but the woman makes the home. So she got to order things right. The man got to give her autonomy to be able to do what she needs to do, the authority to do what she needs to do to keep the household in check.
As the clear light is upon the holy candlestick, so is the beauty of the face in ripe age. As the golden pillars are upon the sockets of silver.
Drop to verse 22.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 and verse 22. A harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband.
All right, so a harlot is accounted as a spittle. But then you want to take a married woman who's a tower against death to her husband, and you want to take a married woman and you want to use her to promote harlotry. And she's a wife, and they telling you they wives. So what's in the mind of these young kids growing up looking at that? This is how wives are. These young men growing up without fathers, this is how a wife's supposed to be. She's supposed to be bad. She got that whop. That's all I need. Because I got some money. I can pay for everything else. Well, who gonna teach your daughter how to be able to take care of a household? The whop?
All right. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that fears Yah. A dishonest woman contemns shame, but an honest woman will reverence her husband.
A honest woman will reverence her husband. Are we reverencing our husbands? Are we reverencing our husbands, or are we talking to them any kind of way? We talking about him. We hitting social media, blasting them every time we get upset. We calling a homegirl, complaining about a husband, talking about all his errors and all his mistakes. Now, YAH said how we supposed to deal with things. When you dealing with your brother, you supposed to go to him. Then if you got a problem with him, if you're going to talk about him, bring that other person and talk to him two together to confirm a matter. But nah, we tail bearing. And that's a feminine trait. And that doesn't mean it's okay for women to do that. But men are now picking up that same trait and sitting here talking about they women and putting all their dirt out there. That's foolish. Why would you ever in your life, a man, put out the dirt about your wife, your sister, your mother, any of those? There's no coming back from that. The dirt is already out. But a man can recover from things like that.
A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yah.
All right, a shameless woman be counted as a dog. So a female dog is, what's the proper term for a female dog?
B-I-T-C-H?
You didn't want to say it. B-I-T-C-H is the proper word for a female dog. Now, it said if your daughter is shameless, keep her inside. Do you want your daughter to be counted as a B-I-T-C-H? Then you better stop her from being shameless and keep her inside and work on her.
A woman that honors her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonors him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all.
Say a woman that honors her husband shall be judged wise of all. Because even if she has a problem with her husband, she gonna honor him. And she gonna go behind closed doors like what YAH said, and she gonna deal with her husband one-on-one. And if he not listening to her, then she gonna go get some help. She go get an elder or get a wise brother or the priest or something and say, hey, I've been trying to talk to this brother. His prayers ain't gonna get heard if he keep doing this. And he's the covering of our household. She respects the order. She ordereth her house well.
A loud crying woman and a scold shall be sought out to drive away the enemies. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third makes me angry. A man of war that suffers poverty, and a man of understanding that are not set by, and one that returns from righteousness to sin. Yah prepares such one for the sword. A merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong, and a huckster shall not be freed from sin.
All right. Let's go to Proverbs 31. Proverbs chapter 31. Mishle chapter 31. We're going to read a few things about the virtuous woman. So again, this ain't an attack at our women. This is a standard for our women and a standard for our men. And we missing this standard. Grossly missing this standard. This is par. We're way under par.
Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 1. Or you want to start at verse 10?
Start this at verse 10.
Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
All right, so virtuous woman, price is rubies is here, her price is up here. But what we're taught for, go after the rubies. Go after the rubies, and going after the rubies, whatever woman we get that's attracted to all those things, that's fine, because we're not looking for the virtuous. We're not valuing the virtuous woman. We valuing the rubies and we value why we want the rubies? Because we want that woman that come along with those rubies. And that woman ain't the virtuous woman. That's not the one that's being attracted to those rubies.
The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands.
She working. She works willingly with her hands. She's a helpmeet. That husband out there busting his behind. He working. He trying to take care of the family. But she's helping him. Adam was tilling the garden. He was working. Then his wife was giving it to him. And she was giving it to him for what? So he could just take care of her? No, so she could help him till the garden. So she can help him harvest. Produce for YAH. So that's what the woman's job is. The man has a job for YAH, and that woman is to help that man do the job so they could be joint heirs.
She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She rises also while it is yet night and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens.
So she giving meat to her household. She taking care of the servants. She's taking care of the maidens. She's working.
She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard.
She not only buys, but she also works on the things that she bought.
She girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms.
Now, all of this is going on while she's taking care of children, taking care of the house, taking care of her husband, taking care of the grandparents.
She perceives that her merchandise is good. Her candle goes not out by night. She lays her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff.
She perceives that her merchandise is good. Her candle goes not out by night. What's she out at night for? She at home. Her merchandise is good. She got a good husband. What's she looking for out there? If you married, what you doing out there? Your candle shouldn't be going out by night. Unless you're going out with your husband. Now, we're not talking about every now and then you do what you do. But if you married and you constantly running out to go live like you live in a single life, that's not a Proverbs 31 woman.
She stretches out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet.
She ordered her house. She took care of her house. Nothing in here talks about WAP. Nothing in here talks about WAP. Go ahead.
She makes herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple.
She's making herself covering. She covering herself up. She not uncovering herself. She not making herself naked. Why would she want to bring that shame to her husband? And furthermore, why would she want to promote that to represent other wives, to bring shame, to cause other wives to bring shames to their husband? Why? Money. That's not a virtuous woman.
Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land.
All right, so if she's a virtuous woman, she likely has a wise husband, because the wise husband is going to help her be virtuous. So if she got a wise husband, the wise men know him. But if you wicked, ain't nobody gonna know you. Because when you come around the elders and you come around anybody else, you're gonna keep your mouth shut. Because you open your mouth Said a fool keeps his mouth closed when he's in the gate, when he's around the elders.
She makes fine linen and sells it, and delivers girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
Strength and honor is her clothing. That don't mean she butt naked. That's metaphorical. Go ahead.
She opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looks well to the ways of her household, and eats not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, he praises her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but you excel them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that fears YAH shall be praised.
So this is who we supposed to be praising. We supposed to be praising women that fear YAH, not women. Oh, congratulations, she butt naked. She did a split off a pole and fell down with her legs. No, you supposed to praise a woman that fears YAH. So this is the man's fault. The man's fault. If it wasn't no men in the strip club would be closed. I know a lot of women go there, but the women are going there either to get women or they going there to get men. So if you take away the women that's looking for men, there's only women that are dykes there. That ain't gonna be enough to satisfy the spending patterns of the women that swing on poles. So they in business because men is there. But if the men was like, man, that's embarrassing, that's a shame, and we're not dealing with none of this, they wouldn't be doing that. They find something else to do. And I'm not saying they're doing it because they just want to be prostitutes or whatever the case, but maybe that's a viable option for them. But if it wasn't a viable option, when those weren't viable options, they would find another way. When these women walking in the streets naked, instead of being like, man, look at her, woo, look at that. You supposed to be pissed off. What is this woman walking around here butt naked for? What's wrong with her? Now, I ain't gonna be no hypocrite. I'm not all there yet. Are you all there yet?
Definitely not.
Even if I didn't say it, it's in my mind. But that's what we need to get to. And until we can acknowledge that and admit those things and make changes and not be afraid to talk about those things, then we're going to be church, circuit, going in that same circle over and over again. And your daughters are going to grow up doing the same thing.
You know, you made a good point about just being honest about our shortcomings. You know, I think we've been kind of raised to be fake in a lot of ways and to always put on the front. But if men and women if we don't start being honest with each other, we're not going to be able to fix our issues. You know what I'm saying? If we're not willing to admit, okay, I'm falling short here, and not only that, just not judge each other, but just have enough love and understanding and patience for each other so that we can work on these issues together. Because like you said, I'm not there, nobody's there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And but we need to have that mercy and understanding with each other so we can get there, you know, y'all willing.
Right. And Brother Abinoam, he said the spirit of lust is wicked, definitely a stronghold to the flesh. And I'm telling you, listen, anybody who's suffering from that spirit of lust, don't be ashamed. This is something that you want to have to fight for the rest of your life. The rest of your life. But if you're at least at the point where you can acknowledge that it's not that you're necessarily going out there sleeping with a bunch of women, but it's in your mind. It shouldn't even be there. So you have to address that. Prevention is better than cure. So if you can get to root out that problem, then you can survive better. Keep yourself out of certain situations, you can survive better. I used to fall to that same old, well, I didn't know this was going to happen. You knew what was going to happen. Right. You went over there. Right. You seen the girl. You know when a girl look at you a certain way, you put yourself in that position. They want to play stupid like, you feel the so I know the day I was honest with myself, I ain't never had that problem again. Because I'm not going to be in certain positions. You're not going to catch me in certain places with certain people at certain times of the day in certain conditions. It's not going to happen. If I'm going to be like that, I'm going to be with my wife. Then what's going to happen is what I want to happen. What's lawful to happen.
Right. You know, the world likes to kind of play that game, what you was just saying, where they think, oh, it's okay, I can just do this and that, and you know, nothing's going to happen. And it always ends up, it's stuff like that does happen because you're putting yourself in that situation. Even King Dawid was in a situation where he was in somewhere that he shouldn't have been.
Right.
And then he ended up, you know what I'm saying? And once that spirit hopped on him, it was probably just laser focused and he probably just lost all sanity. You know what I'm saying?
Look at our women.
Right.
If you sit here, if you sit here and look at our women like that, bro, it's it. That's it. I be looking at my wife like that. I be looking at her like, and every time. So imagine all of the women that we have out here, and you just doing that, the kind of problems you're going to get into. And that's how it was before. Because before it wasn't no understanding of why we were being wicked by slaying these women. It was brought up, especially where I grew. I grew up in Miami. So I got Luke, and my wife and I had this discussion about who profaned the music industry. I got Uncle Luke on one side, which I grew up with listening to that. You know, that was the rapper of my generation, Luke.
Luke
and
is
then,
the reason they have the explicit sticker on.
Right, parental advisory is because of Luke. The reason you able to sing WAP is because of Luke. And then on the female side, the women weren't selling sex like that. They were trying to compete with the art by being MCs. Then Little Kim, and then Trina. Trina was the first one that came that I saw that sold prostitution, was outright telling you point blank, you give me 10 stacks, you can get it. Now all the women, that's all they talking about. Megan Thee Stallion ain't nothing but a copy of Trina. And then you, again, this weaponization of the women. You take a woman like Megan and you call her a stallion, using terms like stallion. A stallion is a male horse. It's role reversal. Whereas the man was looking, you know, oh, I got my two women, you know, my two wives, they get along, da 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 da, right? That's a whole nother discussion. Now it's the women, oh, my two husbands getting along, or my two partners is get role reversal. It's retarded. You get pregnant, who the baby daddy?
Proverbs, the last verse says, give her the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates.
Praise y'all. Look like we got the sisters done chimed in.
Okay.
All right, so Sister Farr, she said, if you doing and focusing on your significant other, you won't have time to be looking, meeting, speaking to other people in that way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you look at your wife like that, chances are you will end up doing the thing that's going to take care of what you were looking for. And then after you done did that, you ain't interested in trying to look at it. Man, you taking care of at home.
Right.
But you let Satan convince you that the grass greener on the other side. First of all, it ain't greener on the other side. But if you water that grass on the other side, it's going to be greener. So water your own grass so it can be greener.
Right, right.
And then, all right. Sis Yanaya said it needs to be recorded on DVD and handed out. And if you did record this on DVD and you handed it out, you're going to have a whole bunch of people from my previous life and be like, look at this hypocrite. This was the main dude. And this is why y'all choose people like this to deliver a message like this, because we can't deliver this message and be a hypocrite. Because if you do that, y'all going to deal with you. If you behind closed doors and you over there, you know, cheating and doing all stuff, y'all gonna make sure, since you in the forefront, he gonna put your face in the forefront. What's done in the dark is gonna come to the light. And that's why these things happen. That's why you got a secret service and a CIA listening to your calls and all that, because they trying to catch you. They trying to catch these men. They know the number one downfall is these women. We send out that woman that look like your porn profile. Send it to your assembly, you great Hebrew leader, and let her be your private student. Then when you get caught up in that and you got your emails and your text message and all that, and now people starting to listen to you because you're starting to inspire a movement, now they come like they did Martin Luther King, playing those tapes and all that stuff of you doing all these different things. But if you wasn't doing that to begin with, they can't use nothing against you.
I just got a scripture to kind of supplement the what we were talking about as far as being at the wrong place in the wrong time. and just, keeping yourself out of certain situations. And Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 and verse 9 says, sit not at all with another man's wife.
Nope.
Nor sit down with her in your arms, and spend not your money with her at the wine, lest your heart incline unto her, and so through your desire you fall into destruction. And I got a few things to say about this. The first is, human beings, people try to act like they're better than they are.
Right.
And the fact is, we are designed a certain way. Yah made men a certain way and women a certain way, and there's a natural attraction that takes place if you spend enough time with a certain person. You know what I'm saying? Those type of thoughts are natural. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so you have to watch and really order yourself and set up certain boundaries so you can make sure that you're not putting yourself in situations that will be compromising.
Absolutely.
And another thing is, I think, just when it comes to brotherhood, and we're living in a culture that obviously there is no brotherhood or patriarchy in place, and we have the music and the media telling you, oh yeah, Mr. Steal Your Girl, do all this, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's the culture, and it's absolutely wicked, you know what I'm saying? But real men and real, brothers, people who have love for their brother, they're going to have respect for his woman, you know what I'm saying? And respect enough for him to treat her and him accordingly, and to make sure they're not putting themselves in situations where they don't belong, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And that's why you have those laws to do that. What is you sitting down with a married woman, drinking, holding for?
Right.
You crazy? I had one brother, and it was the brother with the wandering eyes too, because he done had problems with several people in the assembly. This brother asked me if he could be friends with my wife. I said, what the hell you trying to be friend with a woman for? A married woman on top of that. This is that matriarchal mentality of people. You trying to sit with my wife? See, now, you can turn around and be fake and be like, yeah, that's cool, but really have a problem with it. Then this the same nigga you gonna end up choking to death because you wasn't being real, and you allowed for things like this to happen. And furthermore, your wife should be like, nah, I don't want to be friends with no dude. Right. But why would you even put your wife in that position? Because she thinking like, well, if my husband is saying it's okay, well, maybe this is maybe this is what I need to do. And now she in a position. Right. But if we all keep order and respect, if you are somebody else's wife, I would never sleep with you. I would never touch you, kiss you. I wouldn't do anything like that because I fear Yah. And then if you weren't married unto somebody, but you were somebody's courting woman or girlfriend or whatever, I would still never touch you because you belong to somebody else. But I'm married, so I wouldn't even have that issue. But if I was single, I still wouldn't do that. I would. It's just covetousness. But again, sleeping with your wife, and I got your wife, or your you know, like what's his name, sexing me while your man do this, Biggie saying these type. So it was cool. Nah, that's wickedness. That's what you do to the other nations. Why they had laws that when you go to war with other nation and you kill that husband, then you got to cut her hair off and her nails to grow out. Because that was your enemy. You wasn't concerned with that. But even your enemy, you can't just go take his wife and just do it while the man's still alive. Even we couldn't do that to the heathen. So these are the ancient past that we have to return back to fix our households. Because we dealing with the curses right now, the things we did in our past. Just because you decide to do righteousness today, it might be forgiven. But that don't mean that there's not going to be recompense for that. Right. And we're dealing with that in our relationships, with recompense in our mates for things that other people did. And we say, oh, I didn't do that, but what did you do to other people?
Right. Part of the reason Yah's laws are, I would say the whole reason Yah's laws is in place is for love, you know what I'm saying? And he's trying to protect us from a lot of pain and anguish and trauma and he's trying to protect us from a lot.
Right.
And, you know, one of the things when you're dealing with, you know, other people's wives and other stuff like that, it's like Proverbs 6:34 says, "For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance." So, first of all, jealousy has been kind of painted to be an automatic negative in this culture, but someone who's jealous, the Most High gets jealous. So someone who's jealous, that's just protection. You know what I'm saying? And if your wife if you're one flesh with your wife, are you not going to protect yourself?
Right.
So in the same way, it's like, obviously a man is going to get jealous if you're overstepping boundaries when it comes to his wife. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's something to consider. You know what I'm saying? And there's a reason why these laws is in place to prevent that from happening. Because I know, you know, I've seen it. I've seen men do crazy things when they find out, okay, this man is sleeping with my, or just any type of crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's painful, and it will literally, it's just not a good sight.
Messing with somebody's family.
Right.
You talking about the mother of your children.
Right.
You want to talk about some anger.
Right.
You want to talk about your wife.
Right.
Somebody you would die for.
Right.
And then now another man comes and does something. You want to kill your wife. That's what you want to do. But you know you can't do that. So where you going to misplace that anger? That man caused that because that man should have never did that. But it's the wife and the person and the man. So Yah said, if a man put away his wife and she or committed adultery and she comes back to him, will he take her? Was not land be polluted? Much polluted? But yet you played the harlot multiple times, yet he's still saying, return unto me. So he's showing you the level of how much smoke and anger it causes for adultery, to the point where he said, if you kill somebody, death penalty. You sleep with somebody's wife, death penalty.
Right.
That's how severe it impacts the nation. The whole nation is impacted by adultery of one person. That's why he's like, you got to kill that person, because the whole nation is going to be affected. The whole camp is going to be affected. We finish that up?
Yeah, that was last of our problems.
All right. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 2. And then we have one more for the conclusion. 1 Timothy chapter 2. And I'm sorry, you cannot call yourself a Hebrew and you don't respect the order that Yah put forth. You're not a Hebrew, you fake. If you have a problem with the order, if you want to change Yah's order and make it a Greek order, you're not a Hebrew, you're fake. But guess what? You're going to have to acknowledge that what I want is different than what Yah wants. That's the first step. Now the next step is, well, I want to be in accordance with what Yah wanted, what Yah said. I'm not going to come up with 50 million excuses. All that was back in the day. You mean there was jealousy was BC? There was no jealousy in AD? There wasn't no adultery back then?
Right.
There wasn't no women not wanting to be told what to do? We weren't amongst Gentiles that did not have our culture? This is brand new? This just happened here? It don't make any sense. Just like the laws telling how the man has to step up and has to be ahead and has to be virtuous and righteous and a leader and you know, and a man of character. We didn't grow up that way. And it ain't the easiest thing for us to do. It's easy for us to go look at that naked woman when she walked down the street. That's not in us to not be that way. But we have to acknowledge that and work to change those things. And it ain't going to happen overnight. It ain't going to happen over a year. It's going to happen, Yah's will, over your lifespan. But you got to acknowledge those things.
1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all holiness and honesty. For this is good and acceptable in the sight of Elohim, our Savior, who will have all men to be saved and to come unto the knowledge of the truth. For there is one Elohim and one mediator between Elohim and men, the man Mashiach Yahshua, who gave himself a ransom for all to be testified in due time.
All right, so there's only one Elohim, one mediator between Elohim and men, the man Yahshua HaMashiach. So there is no group of brothers or group of priests or leader, Hebrew leader or assembly or congregation or anybody that is going to mediate for you. Stop it with the cult stuff. There's only one. It's Mashiach. So anytime you go around a situation where somebody's trying to tell you that they gonna pray your sins away, there's a problem there. Now, do we pray for one another and pray for forgiveness? Absolutely. But forgiveness of our sin is not conditional on any group or any specific man that's alive or any position or anointed one or prophet. That's idol worship. Tamshi.
Verse 7, whereunto I am ordained a preacher and an apostle, I speak the truth in Mashiach, and I lie not, a teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity.
All right. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher and apostle, I speak the truth in Mashiach and lie not, a teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. So who is he talking to here? He's a teacher of the Gentiles. He's teaching Gentiles. And when you're in the New Testament, you have to look at that word Gentiles or nations or heathens or Greeks. Anything of those, always look it up and see what was the Greek word that was used, because they have different words.
Ethnos.
Ethnos in here is referring to another race. The other races, the other nations other than Israel. It's Helen, I believe, right? No, this is ethnos. So now when you get to other situations, it'll say Helen. Like, for example, when you're talking about Timothy's father, because this is First Timothy, Timothy was a Gentile. Why? Because Timothy's father was a Helen. If you look at that word Helen, which was said Greeks in English, that was a Greek-speaking non-Israelite. Now they have another word, Hellenist, which is talking about a Greek-speaking Yehudim. Completely different. That's just like Paul was a Hellenist, was a Greek-speaking Jew. So you got to be careful. So he's talking to the Gentiles here. Go ahead.
I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array, but which becomes women professing piety with good works.
All right, so he's saying the women should be adorned in modest apparel. All right, not wearing all these different things and braided hair, golds, or pearls, or costly array. He's talking to Gentiles here. The Gentiles are above, they're ruling, and now they're being brought and mixed under the tutelage of Hebrews, Kepha and the 12 disciples and all that, that's setting up these Gentile churches in Asia. So they're reaching the Israelites that are there, but Paul is reaching the Gentiles in that area as well as the Israelites in that area. So he had to humble these Gentiles because they're on top. They can't be coming around the Israelites all wearing all this gold and jewelry and all this stuff, looking all overly glamorous while we're being occupied in our own places, or we're being the minorities in these places. And then furthermore, with us being raised like Gentiles, we need to learn how to humble ourselves down because we think too highly of ourselves.
Let the women learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach nor to usurp authority over the men, but to be in silence.
All right, so let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. These women that they're talking to here are Gentile women that have no clue about the law. They're from patriarchal Greek societies, heathen societies where women can do whatever they want. So now you're mixing it with Hebrews. They got to learn order, which means they got to shut up and learn. So that's how the Gentile woman had to come in. The Hebrew woman was a little bit different. If she had culture, she would already understood. She wasn't in the temple, so she wouldn't be there to speak. She wouldn't even know what to say. Because in our culture, she would have been outside the temple, at the door. So it's not talking to the Hebrew woman. She would understand. But if you're a Hebrew woman raised around Gentiles, then this is the template that they should be following until you learn order. Now, Deborah wasn't quiet, couldn't say nothing, whatever. She knew what to say. But she wasn't in the temple saying that. Where was she? She was where she was at. The man came to her. So it's different.
For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety.
If she took care of her household, she was going to be all right because that man was doing what he was supposed to do and she did what she needed to do on her side. Let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. So the woman is not supposed to usurp authority over a man, which means to force or control or dominate a man. It's unnatural how that's supposed to be. Because the woman was fooled. There's a certain subset of spirit that's given to a man for his job and his role, just like a leader is given a specific spirit for the job that he's doing. Only YAH can give that spirit. A man can't give a spirit of leadership to another man. YAH gave him that to do the job that he had to do. Well, the woman had the same thing. She was given a certain subset for her to do what she needed to do. But she didn't receive that thing that the man was given for that top leadership position. She wasn't created for that. That's why I brought up the fact that she was fooled. Adam wasn't deceived. He was just disobedient. So there's a difference. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, and let's read 33 through 38 for the conclusion.
For Elohim is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all assemblies of the saints. Let your women keep silence in the assemblies, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also says the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the assembly.
All right, so again, 1 Corinthians. He's talking to Corinth. He's talking to the Corinthians. All right, so they're speaking unto the Gentiles. This is how the Gentile women and Hebrews that grew up around Greek culture is exactly what's happening here. Our women do not know how to be in order, and the men don't know how to be in order. The men don't know how to be in order, or else the women would be in order. So the men have to learn. The men have to learn to be the ones to speak. But in the movies, the man sitting, he's silent, he's quiet, just strong. You don't say the strong silence. He's supposed to be talking. He's supposed to be saying, all right, let's say prayer. All right, let's children, we gonna end this tonight. Everybody do this. We going out to go handle this. We about to go get the food. We about to lead in prayer. We have class. We going to Shabbat. It's a holy day. The man is supposed to be vocal in the household. What verse we at?
We on verse 36.
All right.
What came the word of Elohim from out from you, or came it unto you only? If any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of YAH.
All right, so he's saying these are YAH's commandments. This is YAH set this order up. This is how it's supposed to be. And he's telling, he said that these Gentiles not supposed to be speaking in the church, especially the women, because they weren't in the church, period. The court of the Gentiles was outside. They sat outside with the women. So the law is that the priests, the men, the people who have the service of the law are the ones that are supposed to be speaking and supposed to be teaching. Now we in our society now, we have a necessity for something different. Because we have a weak leadership of men, we have to have a Deborah-like spirit with somebody, a woman say, wait a minute, did not YAH say you ain't supposed to be devil worshiping? The woman got to speak up now. But she's not usurping authority over a man, just like Deborah didn't usurp authority over no man. A man tried to give her the authority. And she didn't say, listen, go up there and do what I said to do. She said, did not YAH tell you to go do that? So that's not her authority. That's Yahweh Shai, the word, which is Yah's authority speaking. And it says, if any man think he prophet, spiritual, or anything, if he anything righteous up in here, he better agree with this. If he don't agree with this, he not wise. He definitely not an Israelite in spirit and in truth.
Verse 38. But if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant.
All right. Hey, we try to show you. We try to show you in law. We try to show you in the letters. We try to show you in Sefer writings. We try to show you with example in life. And you want to argue with this? Let him alone. You can't beat him up. Don't force him. That's his household. You can't control his household. He want to let the woman run him. Let the woman run him. You just ain't going to come over here. You ain't going to come in this house. You ain't going to come in this assembly where your woman is running you. That stuff leaks. When you got weak men in your assembly, and then now women are coming around this, the women are, by nature are going to be tainted by that. And vice versa. You got weak women coming around, the women are going to be tainted and acting Gentile-ish. Instead of acting like the women in this book said our women were lively. It didn't mean that she couldn't speak. It just was a time and place and an order. And it wanted to set up the men back in the household. That's why I said if you had a question, ask your husband. Let him speak. Because it was trying to reset the proper order in the household. And these Gentiles did not have the proper order. So since they didn't have the proper order, Israelites that were being raised around Gentiles would have had bad order as well.
Wherefore, brethren, covet to prophesy and forbid not to speak with tongues. Let all things be done decently and in order.
Let all things be done decently and in order. And we are not all decent and we are out of order. So that means we have to focus on these things. This class is for all of us. It's not just a class for women. Women, this is how you need to behave. Men, this is how you need to ensure that your woman is behaving. You need to ensure that your daughters are behaving that way. You have to ensure that you're behaving in a way that's conducive for them to behave that way. If you being a lion in your own house, you forcing a woman who's a lively woman to have to roar and speak out. Because you're forcing that on her. So it's a lesson for both of us. And furthermore, us men as being married unto Yah, we need to view this instruction of how the women are being and ensure that we are being that same way towards our husband, our God, Yah. So that's all we're going to do today. Do we have any last questions or comments? All right. Let's go ahead and close in prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we're going to face the east towards Jerusalem, where our temple was and where our temple, HaMashiach, shall return. Abba Father, Yahweh Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yashra'al, we thank you once again for giving us a means and a desire to gather, Yah, during this pandemic, during this oppressive state that we're in, Yah. We thank you that you've provided a means, Yah, for us to come together as a nation, Yah. For we know that the great tribulation is before us, but we are freely able to move. So we ask that you empower us during this short period of time, Yah. That we be able to get in everything that we need to do during this space of time, Yah. That you allow your nation to grow out of these wicked ways, Yah. That all these things are done according to your prophecy as you told us, Yah. We ask that you open up our eyes so we can see the narrow path easier. We ask that you
allow us to be better husbandmen in our households, Yah. Rooting up all the roots of bitterness and all the things that rob our soil of the nutrients that allows your holy seed to grow and your word to grow within our house, Yah. We ask that you put a different spirit on our men, Yah. For we know that there's been a feminine spirit over us. For you told us no effeminate men will enter into the kingdom, Yah. So we ask that you provide us with a manly spirit, a spirit like our patriarchs, Abraham, a spirit like Isaac and Jacob, a spirit like Moshe, to allow us to be meek amongst the earth, which means we can be humble in our households, Yah, but have the force and strength of an Abraham, Yah, who could tell his wife that we're going to a place that my God is going to tell us when he tells us, and she would be in subjection and call him master or Lord, like our patriarch, our matriarch Sarah did her husband. So Yah, we ask that you empower our men, Yah, for we understand it all starts with our men, Yah. We ask that you allow them to take an honest look at themselves in the mirror so that they can work on those things that are hindering the women in our households, Yah. So we thank you, Yah, and we give you all the glory and honor, and we ask you these things. We beg, we make no demands, Yah. And we ask these things through your holy, humble, anointed Son, Yahshua HaMashiach, in which all praise, majesty, might, dominion resides to forevermore, through the Savior word of Yah, Yahweh Shai. We thank and we pray. To you, Yah.